I was raped by a neighbor's son. And because I was already a village girl who was just coming out of village life, I didn't even know what it was to be called a virgin. I didn't know what it was to bleed from rape. I just felt that a boy had injured me. And so the neighbor came in, scolds the boy, and sends him away, and then cleans me up and tells me not to tell anyone. But fast forward to 2 years later, my adopted father began to molest me. And that went on for 7 years. And it was night after night. Yes. It was night after night. It's always almost unbelievable to tell somebody that there was somebody who would come for your body every night for 7 years. The days I escaped it were days when I had started to, become a woman, menstruate, and so I had off days from abuse. And so I've also had questions like, why didn't you tell? Why didn't you tell? And I'm like, I was told, do not tell anyone. If you tell anyone, I will send you back to the village and you will die after 7 days. I didn't want to die. I didn't want to go back to the village that I escaped. And then I was already coming tops in school. This time around, I was 17 going on 18. And so when Daddy came, I said, I would either cut you with this knife or cut myself. And he said, who have you been talking to? Who told you to do this? I said, nobody. I've read books. I just remember that the next day, I was on long-term holiday. It was the third term break going into SS3. And she called me into her room. And she gave me a Bible, actually. And she says, what have you been doing with my husband? Okay. That came to me as a shock. I could not tell her that I was converted into a sex toy. So even when the abuse stopped physically, and I know what I mean when I say physically, because there was an 18-year-old spiritual trauma where my abuser would come for me in my sleep and have sex with me. And that went on for 18 years. So at 18, I actually contemplated the second suicide. And so when I was going to university, I was going to the university as a 21-year-old broken young woman. Yeah. When I finished law school and we were waiting for the exam, there was this fine guy who eventually seemed to have fallen in love with me genuinely. And then, fast forward to that particular month, and law school result comes out, and I flunked it. And while I was still dealing with the pain of failure, I discovered that this guy who was supposed to now be the hope, the little bright light, is actually married with kids. Oh my goodness gracious. And that he was just single in Lagos, but married with kids in another state. And then while I was still dealing with that, I discovered that I was pregnant for this man that was married with kids, and that the baby was dead in my womb.